everybody, welcome to the show. My name is T and we are talking scary movies. I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new episode. Remember, every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I'm going to have some movie news for you. I'm going to have an opinion piece, or I'm going to have a good interview for y'all to check out. But throughout the entire week, I am dropping plenty of reviews for y'all to check out. So the best way to stay on top of all the content that I'm dropping for y'all throughout the week is to get subscribed to my Linktree. And you can do that by going to linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. If you get subscribed to my Linktree, that's going to give you access to the YouTube page for the video versions of the show, to your favorite podcasting platforms for the audio-only versions of the show, to my Letterboxd page for written reviews and movie rankings throughout the year, to my TikTok page for my short horror content including movie news and movie premieres, to my Twitch page where you can catch my horror gaming, and to my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy my 20% off discount anything in the Fangoria store, including a yearly subscription to the physical magazine. Take advantage of that, folks. Hit that subscribe button, especially if you are watching on YouTube, as more subscribers I get, the more content I can drop for all of you and do more giveaways as well too, because folks, it is July 31st. It is the last day of July, so this video is your last chance to enter to win a Tall Man Funko Pop. Literally, all you have to do is comment on the YouTube video and that gets you entered for a chance to win a Tall Man Funko Pop, complete with orb. You can't really see it that well, but he is holding the orb right there in his right hand. So if you want a chance to pick up on this guy, make sure to comment on this one here. After tonight, I'm gonna go back through all my July videos, find all the comments, put all those people there into a little random name generator. We're gonna find out who's winning that Tall Man Funko Pop. Gonna get that sent out next week for our winner. So what are we talking about here tonight? Well, first of all, I want to quickly give a shout out to my cousin Cherie. Cherie, girl, thank you so much for watching the show. My mom called and told me that you were checking things out. That is so awesome, y'all, because I'm trying to grow the hell out of this show right now. And that's so extremely cool, like when you see your family supporting you and they just randomly find that out as well. Like, you're not even like you had to give them the information, but they just found it and they were checking it out. I don't know, maybe my sister told her, maybe my mom did tell her, whatever way. Cherie, you were cool as hell, girl. I love you, cousin. Thank you so much for checking this out. Tonight's show is dedicated to you, Cherie. You keep watching horror movies, so I'm talking about, girl. Hell yeah. But tonight on the show, I was going to talk about all the great stuff we have coming out here in the month of August. Y'all, I don't know about you, but it's been ridiculous since A Quiet Place Day 1 came out. I feel week after week after week after week, we have been getting nothing but bangers. And who knew? The first half of the year was already so good with the horror that we got. This second half is ramping up to easily beat the first half of the year out, y'all. I mean, what? We got A Quiet Place, we got Maxine, we got Long Legs, we have Cuckoo coming out, we have Alien Romulus coming out, we got Trap coming out. Y'all, we got so much stuff coming in the second half of this year. I'm stoked, but you know what? We can save that. We can absolutely save that one more week. So next week, we're going to talk about all the great horror that's coming to you in August, folks. Getting a set here for the spooky season for sure. It's right around the corner. Y'all know we typically celebrate towards the end of August, early September, and we might just go all firm in at this point and go mid to late August at this point now. So it's coming up. I am stoked for that. But in regards to what we're talking about here tonight, because I had to move things along, we all know San Diego Comic-Con just finished up this past weekend. A lot of great news coming out of the convention. But some of the biggest news for all of us as horror fans was the fact that we got confirmation that in addition to Dexter Original Sin, which is the upcoming prequel series that's made by the creators of Dexter that'll take place in the early 1990s, showing Dexter as an intern at Miami Metro Homicide as a forensic investigator, and working along, obviously, his father, Harry Morgan, who's trying to teach him this code to keep his murderous desires in check, all the while his sister, Deborah Morgan, is starting to gain her own interest in becoming a police officer and find her own road to make it to that journey as well. We found out not only is Michael C. Hall returning as Dexter's inner monologue and the narrator of Dexter Original Sin, but we are confirming a follow-up to Dexter New Blood, which is the most recent season we got. You remember, Dexter's son Harrison shows up, and then shit goes wild at that point. Whether you liked it or not, that is the last bit of Dexter that we have gotten. That ending was very divisive amongst a number of fans. And I say all of that to get around to, we are getting a follow-up. Now, we don't know many details about this at all. Apparently, this follow-up is called Dexter Resurrection, and Michael C. Hall is returning to star in the show. So there are questions about whether or not this is like a follow-up to where Dexter will still somehow be alive, because spoilers, y'all, and I'm so sorry I didn't say it before I said that last line. If you didn't catch Dexter New Blood, that show ended apparently with Harrison having to kill Dexter after Dexter took a number of extra steps that kind of crossed his own code and definitely crossed Harrison's code. Harrison killed Dexter as a way to ultimately separate himself from him and move on in his life. Now, Clyde Phillips, the guy who created the Dexter TV show for us, has stated that Dexter was definitively dead. But at Comic-Con this past weekend, Michael C. Hall kind of hinted that that's probably not the case. And it's quick. It's super, super quick. But he straight up asked, like, is he dead? Is he? Like, it's really cold out here. And I hate to say it, but like that seems like a pretty good confirmation that Dexter is probably not dead. And that makes a new TV show incredibly intriguing for us fans of the franchise. Because on one hand, and we are going into full spoiler territory at this point, y'all. I know we do the 10-year rule, but when it comes to TV, it's a little bit more hazy because you have that a little bit more well available to you. So I'm sorry if you haven't seen Dexter New Blood. You want to tune out immediately for this here. The problem with Dexter New Blood that I had with it, because I was on board with almost everything that happened in that there, was the last episode or so of this show. I wasn't against Dexter being killed, because at a certain point, that was going to be an honest-to-God possibility of something happening. Is that whether it was a serial killer, whether it was the cops, whether it was Deborah herself, somebody was going to end up getting the better of Dexter, and that was going to be the end of his story. But it made a lot more sense that it had to wrap around to Harrison, because Dexter had the same dream that he's had for years at this point, that he finally found a kindred spirit who would kind of share and revel in this life that he led. And you have to admit, like if you go back and look at the original show, that started out with Lila. Wasn't Rita, because obviously Rita wouldn't be on board with any of this, but it starts out with Lila, who he thinks that Lila sees him for what he is, but unfortunately, Lila herself is absolutely unstable, tried to kill Rita's kids, tried to do a lot of other nefarious shit, setting Batista up as well too. Wasn't going to work out. Dexter had to kill Lila, right? And then we move on. And Dexter, and again, if I get this out of order, y'all, work with me on this one here. Dexter meets Miguel Prado. Miguel Prado obviously working is the DA basically, and we find out Miguel Prado is a little bit touched and fucked up himself at that point, and has committed a murder or two, as Dexter has tried to show him the code as well, and Miguel takes advantage of that. Miguel revels in his own power. Miguel thinks that he is the person that knows anything and everything, and again, when he betrays Dexter and threatens to kill Lieutenant LaGuardia at that time, or I think Captain LaGuardia by that point, Dexter unfortunately has to kill Miguel as well too. 2 strikes. We're gone at that point. So we move to number 3, which is Lumen. Y'all remember Lumen, Julia Stiles, who had her own ordeal with Jordan Chase and his lackeys, to where she was kidnapped, she was sexually assaulted, she was mutilated, she was almost killed by these crazy men. And luckily enough, Dexter stumbles upon one of the people involved in this conspiracy, manages to kill him. That was Boyd, right? Sean Hattasey? Yeah. He manages to stumble on Boyd and kills Boyd, finds Lumen, and then helps Lumen basically carry out her revenge against Jordan Chase and all of his cronies for the role they played, not just with Lumen, but with dozens of other girls as well too. And Dexter thinks again that Lumen is his chance for happiness. And to be quite honest, out of everybody that Dexter has shared his secret with, because we still got another one that we have to talk about actually, but out of everybody Dexter has shared his secret with there, Lumen was probably the closest that Dexter had to a normal relationship and to getting like Rita basically, but with the advantages of Rita knows what he's doing, because Lumen didn't have this dark personality. She didn't have this psychotic tendencies of Lila. She wasn't worried about power at all. She wasn't worried about revenge, about being slighted or anything. She simply wanted to be able to take her life back and gain that control in her life again over what Jordan Chase and his boys had taken away from her. And it makes sense that after Jordan Chase and all of them were killed, she couldn't stay with Dexter, because she understands Dexter is a psychopath. Dexter is a serial killer and there's no way around that at all. He is another version of Jordan Chase. It's just he's the version that's helping her out. And this kind of goes around to the ongoing problem with Dexter. And I don't mean as a concept, because that's one of the most the ingenious things about the show, about the character, honestly. But the issue here is that as much as we're presented and led to believe that Dexter and serial killers don't typically have emotions and that they're empty canvases and they kind of emulate what they're seeing, Dexter does grow that. And one of Dexter's compulsions is he wants somebody to just approve of what he's doing. He wants that approval that what he's doing is right, because these tendencies are not good, obviously. And yes, he's killing terrible people, and there's always going to be the question of, well, the law should have a chance, but it doesn't change the fact that Dexter has done some terrible things. And not only that, even when he's not killing murderers, Dexter's intentions have been, unfortunately, hazy at best quite a lot of the time. I mean, let's be real about it. The reason why Paul, Lorita's ex-husband, is dead is because of Dexter. There's no other way to look at that, is that Dexter caused Paul's death. Now, I'm not saying Paul deserves anything. Paul was a piece of shit who beat Rita, who scared those kids as well, and was going to ruin Rita's life. So I get it, rock in a hard place at that point. But it doesn't change the fact that Dexter took Paul out of those kids' life and took a little bit of Rita's mental stability, and ultimately possibly led to Rita being killed, because all this did lead to Rita losing her life. Dokes knew something was wrong with Dexter, and of course, Dokes himself is not innocent in all of this, but Dokes knew there was something wrong, and Dokes is a little bit more on the right side of things than Dexter is. He finds out the secret, and Dexter's left with two choices, ultimately. He can let Dokes get to the cops, turn Dokes in, or turn him over, whatever you want to say, and that immediately screws Dexter over. Dexter's going to jail, possibly getting the death penalty, right? The flip of it is he can kill Dokes instead and hide his secret, but he's killed a man whose only crime is that he knows what Dexter is and what Dexter has done. Now, Lila took care of that problem for Dexter, but Dokes was only in that situation. I mean, he was in the situation because of Dexter. Yeah, he's in the situation because of Dexter at the end of the day. There it is, in the story right there. Lumen. Or I already said Lumen. Lumen. What I meant was Hannah McKay. So Hannah shows up. Another killer, just like Miguel Prado at this point. But one of the other differences here is that Hannah has the murderous ambition of Miguel Prado, getting those who have slighted her, those that might cause her to lose her freedom, to lose her livelihood. There's that part. But then there's also the part that is like a mix between like Lumen and Lila as well, to where this woman sees Dexter for what he is, and she accepts Dexter for what he is, because that is also her as well. And Hannah was always one of the more interesting relationships, not the best. I'm going to say that right now, that the pairing of Hannah and Dexter always was kind of a downer for me, just because of the fact that, you know, those two, out of all these other relationships Dexter has had across the franchise, that's the relationship that just wasn't going to be able to be worked out in no way, shape, or form, because Dexter is piling up more bodies and more people who find out about his secret and are going to look to stop him around the time that Hannah finds out who he is and what he does. And things are still going to get worse. Harrison's around, and we know how all this ends up playing out. Hannah was not the right match for Dexter at all, but it was probably the best option of what Dexter himself thought that he wanted and thought that he needed. I still feel Lumen ultimately was the one who was probably going to keep Dexter the most sane, but to be honest, she probably would have ended up being killed by him at a certain point, I think. But Hannah obviously is the one that Dexter would really, really prefer. And so just this string of incidents here leads us back to New Blood, and it leads to the fact that Dexter doesn't make good decisions when it comes to keeping himself safe and alive. And the whole thing was Harry's code told him never get caught. You know, that's the first rule, is never get caught, and do whatever you can to never get caught. And then we've seen over the course of the original show how a lot of his choices have led to people that shouldn't be dead. It's led to people ending up in jail that shouldn't be in jail at all. And he's fucked up quite a large number of lives. So this idea in New Blood that Dexter's just kind of living in exile. He can't really live his life the way that he wanted to anymore. He's got a girlfriend. He's got this community that he's involved in. And unfortunately, the arrival of his son, along with just one asshole, ends up putting that all into a tailspin. And the season ends with him killing, honestly, probably the most innocent person across the course of this franchise. Logan, our deputy, and the local deputy of where Dexter was living at. Dexter murders him to escape from jail and to get Harrison and to get away. And that was the one decision I feel over that show, and maybe over the course of the show, that just completely sent me off the wrong way. And the problem is I can't really be that mad at it because Dexter has shown who he is. And that's my fault for coming into New Blood when it aired and thinking that Dexter was still this honorable guy and forgetting that over the course of almost 20 years at this point. It's been almost 20 years that Dexter has been running, y'all. Over the course of 20 years, Dexter has shown he will put himself before others quite often. And sure, he's done things for Deb, he's done things for Rita, he's done things for the kids, he's done things for these people in his life. But more often than not, Dexter puts himself before these other people. And this one obviously had those fatal final results for Logan and pretty much turned the character in a way that I think it should be hard for fans to come back and look at that, look at Dexter in a continuation with the same rose-colored glasses that we've looked at him before. Because I think we all can say we're guilty of looking at Dexter over the course of this show and trying to find the humanity, trying to hold him in this great light, and we do. And in Original Sin, he deserves that because, again, that character is not where that character eventually ends up. So in Original Sin, we gotta support Dexter. But in Resurrection, that makes me incredibly curious to where they're going with this, because there's all these people assuming that this could be just an alternate reality. Guys, the multiverse is not in everything, okay? We do not need alternate universe storytelling for everything. And I say that knowing I am a huge fan of the show Spartacus, and their next season that they're doing, House of Asher, is taking from the timeline going differently than what happened in the real show. I get that, but they don't have the budget to do what they actually want to do. And Stephen DeKnight has said that. I can accept that. Works for me. Show's going to be amazing. With a show like Dexter, you don't need to do that. You really don't need to do that. It might not be as interesting, but we can't really follow around a serial killer committing all these murders. It just doesn't work at all for us to follow around Dexter and think that he's going to consistently and continually get away with this, and nobody is going to get all the wiser. That was the point of the original show, is that slowly the walls are closing in on Dexter, and the people that have been around him for years are starting to see things. The facade is cracking. And so I don't know if I can really agree with the idea of Dexter just surviving the events of New Blood, showing back up, and continuing on in this, even if we're going to a new city, which I honestly think is the bad route to go. To be completely honest about it, I feel that there's really only two ways to go with this franchise. And tell me in the comments if you got something else there. But I think either one, you have to send Dexter or whatever characters this is going to be, you have to send them back to Miami at this point. Harrison ends up back in Miami. Maybe ends up like with Batista and Quinn and Masuka, who are the 3 characters we know are still alive from the previous show. Maybe that's what ends up happening, as Harrison ends up there. And again, Dexter is now Harrison's dark passenger. That would be most appropriate to me. The other option is that Dexter ends up, like the show still takes place in Iron Lake, and we're dealing with Chief Bishop, Dexter's ex-girlfriend Angela. We're dealing with Chief Bishop kind of investigating again more and more of Dexter's life, and Harrison's living with her now, and Harrison's still helping her, I guess, with these cases and picking up on some of his father's skills. Something like that will work as well too, but I just don't know if the franchise still works with having a fully alive Dexter up and doing the same thing, even if you were to take him away from Miami, take him out of New York, and put him just in a random new city. I don't know if that works. Don't know if that's something I want to see. I will watch it because I am a Dexter fan. Love the idea of it. Cool. Let's check it the hell out for sure. But I'm worried. I am a little worried about how this follow-up will go. Either way, we'll see. Dexter Original Sin is set to premiere this December, so we have plenty of time to get caught up on the original series, get caught up on New Blood, and make all of our own new theories. And I'm sure more information is going to be coming out in the coming months. So let me know in the comment section what you want out of Dexter Resurrection. Again, we have an idea of what Dexter Original Sin is going to end up doing, but what do you think we're going to get out of Dexter Resurrection? This is something we will revisit likely in December once Original Sin ends up starting up. But stay tuned for more details, folks. That's going to do it for me tonight, folks. Great way to end the month of July. I appreciate you tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. I have more great reviews coming out for you, folks. We're talking Trap, Cuckoo, the Alien franchise, including Alien Romulus, Humane. We got so much good stuff coming up for y'all, and I don't want you to miss any of it. So hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. Cherie, I love you, cousin. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.
Boy here is a big fan of Fangoria. So if you want to check out the world's best horror magazine that's out there, get a chance to get yourself your own subscription, which I just got my first one back in 2022 and I don't regret it for a second. But if you want your own Fangoria subscription, or you like the Fangoria merchandise, then head over to the Fangoria shop and use my link if you want to save yourself some money, folks. That's an easy one to remember. Just go to shop.fangoria.com/axdew. Again, that's shop.fangoria.com/axdew, or use my specific code AXDEW at checkout. You can save 20% off your entire order, and that implies 2 subscription and a one-time orders as well. You don't want to miss out, folks, because with the magnitude of horror movies we've had released in the last few years, and with what we have on the horizon, Fangoria is going to be your #1 source for all that great, juicy, bloody information in the world of horror. So again, head to shop.fangoria.com. Hey there, folks! Thanks for tuning in to T Watch This Scary Movie. I appreciate you checking out another review or movie news, whether we're talking movies, TV shows, books, or games, whatever, it's all scary. Remember, you can check out new episodes every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the YouTube page for video. That's youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. Again, youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. And you can check out the audio version on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Just search T Watch the Scary Movie or TWASM. Don't forget, my name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.